remember watching the Muppets as a kid?
Oh, you better believe it.
Okay, because I remember that I could not miss the Muppets. I want to say it was like a Friday, maybe Saturday. Okay, I remember it was on the weekend.
Yep.
And my favorite part, it was always the musical guests. Okay,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I don't remember when some of the more famous artists like Alice Cooper, Elton John were on. That was before my time. They were already there.
Yeah.
But I always remember that they would always have these skits and the performances with the Muppets interacting with the rock stars.
Yep.
And it gave the rock stars like a bit of humanity,
Yeah.
even though they were playing with Muppets. And I was watching YouTube and I came across Leo Sayer performing today's song, You Make Me Feel Like Dancing, with the Muppets. I made you watch that.
Yep.
I was like, look at this. It's the Muppets with Leo Sayer.
Memories, man. Memory lane.
And I just remember, like, John Denver was always on the Muppets. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. And it always seemed that the artists, the rock stars of that time, were more attainable when they were on the Muppets than when they were being rock stars.
Yeah.
And so the reason I introduced this song, You Make Me Feel Like Dancing by Leo Sayer, is because I don't really know where to classify Leo Sayer. And so for me, the closest connection I have to this guy is being a guy who played on the Muppets. Does that make sense to you?
Oh, yeah, I feel you, Will. I feel you.
Because look, man, when this song was released in 1976, I was 2 years old, man. Maybe not even 2 yet at the time.
We.
Yeah. Okay. I first heard this song on those old Time Life compilation commercials where I was like, oh, and even then that was just the chorus, with a little clip of Leo playing the song, and then he was out.
Yep.
It wasn't until I was an adult, and an old adult at that, because when I was in my 20s, like, no, I'm not listening to disco. I'm out. I'm running away from disco. It wasn't until I was in my 40s that I said, oh, this is a really great song.
It's like, oh, snap.
Yeah, no, seriously. And not only did he have this hit, which was a number one hit, and won a Grammy for what, Ken?
Best R&B song.
Best R&B song. A white man from England winning the best R&B song for 1977.
Yes.
Even though this was a hit in 76. And the album that this song came off of, Endless Flight, had two number one hits. This one and his ballad, When I Needed You, or When I Need You. So
it's playing in my head now.
Okay, but we're not talking about that.
Oh, no.
Now, Leo Sayer has a little bit of background. So in the early 70s, when he first broke out, he was a star in England, but he hadn't become successful in the States. And if you ever listen to his music, which I did because I'm obsessive compulsive like that.
Yes, I remember.
Yeah.
I remember.
I started listening to all the old Leo Sayer albums.
Yep.
And it's almost like Elton John singing in falsetto the entire time. But very catchy pop songs, with a lot of depth, a lot of heart into them. And so I was like, oh my God, this guy has talent. And he was giving his songs away to like Roger Daltrey of The Who when he went solo. Three Dog Night covered one of his songs that became a hit. And so he had some success, but like 1/100th of the success that Elton John had in the early 70s. Because he was the biggest star of the first half of the decade.
Oh, absolutely.
And so none of those songs from that era in Leo Sayer's catalog come close to this one. You Make Me Feel Like Dancing. And this is him going full disco. He said, I'm going to make a dance hit. I'm going to make it sound like what's popular today, disco. And it's going to blow up. That's what happened.
Yeah. No. You hit it on the head. I like how you pointed out about the Grammy R&B, because he was not the only white guy from Britain that was catching an R&B. I love the fact, and let me back up on that, or feel me on this.
Yeah, keep going.
I love the fact during this point in time, if it had a groove, the groove was colorblind. because you had Queen throwing down Another One Bites the Dust.
A few years later.
Yeah,
You're
but
right.
still, same thing. You got these kids over, or these guys in Great Britain, R&B stations here in the States gravitate to it. I remember listening to Another One Bites the Dust. Same concept. You got these guys from England
White boys.
throwing it down, and it's like, hey, the groove is colorblind. They're throwing the groove. That's what we need.
And so Leo Sayer, for being a singer-songwriter, he didn't write this song alone. He wrote this with a man by the name of Vinny Poncia. Okay, do you know that name? Yes or no?
No.
Okay. So Vinny Poncia, I know that name, and I've known that name since I was preteen. And it's because he helped produce Peter Criss's solo album when Kiss did their solo album.
Oh, the Peter Criss with the cat. Yeah.
And Kiss's Dynasty album, which was their first disco record.
Yes, because I Was Made for Loving You.
Exactly. And so when people needed a hit, because Vinny actually helped co-write a ton of Ringo Starr's successful songs and albums from the early 70s, which was by far, like, people don't know this, Ringo Starr was the most successful
solo Beatle
of the first 5 years of their divorce.
Yeah. Yep.
And part of it is because this guy Vinny Poncia was a hit writing machine. Now he didn't replicate that with Peter Criss, because Peter Criss's solo album is widely considered the worst Kiss solo album out there. I love it, man. Like, look, because I take it as it is, not as a Kiss record.
Yeah.
Okay. And Dynasty, I like a lot of songs on that album, including the one you just mentioned.
Hell yeah. That's when we were born, man. We can't knock it.
So you have a guy who's already been a singer-songwriter in England breaking out, going with this guy who's saying, look, let's modernize your sound, put in that disco groove with Vinny, and together they struck gold. Simple as that.
Yeah. And it's funny, going back to This Is Where We Grew Up, and you hit it on the head in the introduction. What grabs me off the bat, first line note out of his mouth, is his falsetto, man. Because I'm all about the falsetto, because that's how we grew up.
Yep.
Which is crazy. Why does a guy like me have a falsetto at all? Because this is what was pumped into my head.
Because God gave it to you, kid. Either he gives it to you or he don't. Now look, let's go into the music here, because like I said, I didn't listen to this song as a kid. I didn't like disco. I didn't want to like disco. I didn't want to embrace anything that had to do with disco. Even as a lover of history, I didn't embrace disco's history.
Yeah, I feel okay. Yeah,
I mean, not totally. I'm like, give me that hard rock. But then I just got older and softer and mellower. And I said, wait a minute, let's listen to this song. And I cannot believe how much I love this song. This might be my favorite song of the 70s that did not have Gladys Knight in it. Okay. Seriously.
Yep.
This might be my favorite song. I think that this song is one of the most cleverly constructed songs I've ever heard.
Oh, yeah. Again, this is a well-crafted pop song.
And why do you say that? Why is it a well-crafted pop song?
It is a disco song, true.
Right.
But
and that's just kind of the sound of the era.
Yeah. What makes this song great, and I will say this now, you can take this song and put it in a different style, rearrange it, and it will still have wings. So we have the verse. This song is a 1-4-5 progression. That is everything that we've listened to in the West growing up. That's like the standard early rock and roll progression. So that is ingrained in us. That is what our ear has decided over time. This is what we like. Okay? So he has that, the chorus and the verse. It's just verses in one key. He does a little transition, kicks it up a whole step for the chorus, does a transition and get back to the verse. And so he's created this clever loop.
I see where you come from, but I don't think you're giving it enough credit.
No,
Because the way you're making it sound is just verse, chorus, verse, which is something that I think is completely off the mark. And I'm not calling you out because you know more about music than I do.
and just keeping it simple because his transitions
Those
between
transitions
the two
are where the magic lies.
and that's why I said it's clever because the transitions are nice and effective.
Right.
You know, and like I said, so he built this loop of, all right, I've got this cool verse. I need this transition to get to the chorus. All right, I got the chorus. I need this transition to get back to the verse. And he builds them, and then, all right, I did a verse, chorus, verse, chorus. You know what? I need to change it up just a little bit more because a great pop song, you have familiarity and some novelty. So it's just familiar enough to keep you, and then just enough change to keep you listening.
Well, look. So let's break this down, okay? Because this is interesting to me because you start off, it has that little disco hook, right? You know, it has that. And then he, I'm not going to sing in falsetto. You've got a cute way of talking, right?
Yes.
Okay, so now we're starting the chorus, and then he goes in.
It's starting with falsetto.
The verse. Starting with falsetto. I can't do it, man. But then he goes into like, it's not hard rock, but like this like moment of tension. I'm in a spin, you know, shaking on a string, you know.
Where he comes out of his falsetto.
Right, and coming out of the falsetto,
so
but sounds completely different from the rest of the
feeding to the contrast from the verse. Yeah, during that tension.
And then when we go into the third, I'm going to call it a movement for lack of a better term. Then we go into the chorus. You make me feel like dancing, I'm going to dance the night away, right? Okay, that right there would be a strong enough chorus as it. That would have been catchy enough. But then he says, oh, wait a minute. Now we're going to turn the heat up in this dance club. And he's going to say, I feel like dancing, dance the night away. And then you're like, wait a minute.
His next transition.
Wait a minute. You mean you're going to mix up the chorus within and then take us to that fourth movement and then do it all over again?
Yeah.
And then in the middle of the song, around the 2-minute mark, he's just going to say, you know what? I have no words to express this dance move I'm doing, so I'm just gonna go do 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 do, right?
Yes, which is also another beautiful tactic because that's something almost like a drum circle. That's something everyone can do. So not only has he hooked you with this song to where you have that bit of familiarity and change, which a great song has, then he has a point here. All right, you've been following me, and you can actually sing along with me here because unless you got a falsetto and you're just gonna bop along. But here, I got you.
And what I love about this is he never lets you get bored because once you think you're going left, Leo's taking you right.
Yeah.
And then once you're in that groove, he said, nope, go back this direction. Oh, wait, you like that direction? I'm gonna go back into this other direction now. So he's never letting you rest.
And perfectly constructed pop
perfectly constructed because we've heard songs where the narrative is more important than the changes in the music.
And this is why, because this is not that case. That's why I say you could take this song and rearrange it into a different idiom, different style, and it will still have wings because what he has constructed here is solid.
And check this out, man. On the record itself, so he hired session musicians to help him play this out. And we've mentioned some session musicians like the Funk Brothers from Detroit, the Wrecking Crew in Los Angeles, you know, the Stax crew in Memphis. Well, there were still successful session musicians in the 70s. And so we're going to actually run down some of the people that played on this record. So like the first thing that I noticed, as I've done with every great dance record that you and I have talked about, that bass line. That's what's making your booty move, man.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's performed by a guy named Chuck Rainey. Listen to some of the people this guy has performed with. Steely Dan, I think he was their session bassist. Whatever. Aretha, Etta James, Quincy Jones. This guy has chops, man.
Oh yeah.
And Again, until I started doing the show, I never noticed how important the bass was. I was like everybody else on earth, just disregarding it. And then you're like, oh my God, I want to listen to more Chuck Rainey.
Oh yeah, no, he comes correct. He is a player.
So on guitar, so we talk about that, you know, have that little disco group.
Yep.
Two guitarists. First guy named Larry Carlton.
Mr. 335. That's his nickname.
So you know who he is.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Never heard of him in my life.
Okay, so also, yeah, such a player, but he also played with Steely Dan.
Right.
If he and Chuck were on the same album, probably.
More than likely, because most of the people here have played with Steely Dan.
Yeah, that's what Steely Dan did.
I wouldn't even be surprised if Steely Dan was in the same studio at the time Leo Sayer was cutting his record and just had guys come over.
Yeah,
or
they
that,
just aren't.
or they were
Yeah,
both paying
we're
the
both-
same session musicians at the same time.
Oh, yeah. You know, ain't nothing wrong with that.
But this
because
guy-
these guys were great enough to be able to do that.
And this guy, Larry Carlton, Michael Jackson, Dolly Parton, Linda Ronstadt, and even played on the theme from Hill Street Blues.
Yeah.
Posts.
Dun, dun,
Yeah.
dun. Thanks for putting that in my head. I
Had
love
to.
it. Also, so a little side fact, I learned this year about Larry Carlton. Vanessa Carlton is his niece.
Who's
That
that?
1,000 Mile song from White Chicks.
Nope.
You've heard it.
I've seen White Chicks.
Yeah. It's the song that they keep goofing on throughout the. Anyway,
Okay.
that's
I'd
his
have to
niece.
watch it again.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was like, oh wow, I did not know that. But yeah, Mr. 335, because that's what the guitar he'd play, 335.
And then the drummer was a guy named Steve Gadd.
Steve
who,
Gadd's no joke.
another prolific session drummer, played with Steely Dan, Eric Clapton, Chick Corea, and James Taylor. So these guys who are playing, they have chops.
Oh yeah.
But I forgot one name. Also on guitar was a guy named Ray Parker Jr. And in the 70s, his big breakout was the band Radio.
Yep.
You remember Radio? Had
Yep.
some top 40 hits. But he's most known for what, Ken?
Ghostbusters.
Right. So he really blew up in the 80s with Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
That was his big hit. And so he's playing guitar on this.
And
okay?
what's is crazy, because like I've told you, I knew he was a good, studio musician playing guitar. I can hear some of his other Souls things in my head, but after Ghostbusters, that's all that's in my head.
So look. So this song has the cream of the crop in session musicians. Got to put Ray Parker Jr. in there to give us some funk, right? Some groove, along with the bass player Gaines. Okay, you got disco hitmaker Vinny Poncia right there co-writing with you, and you've got that natural falsetto that God just gave you, right,
Yeah.
Leo Sayer, and all of a sudden you have a #1 hit and a breakthrough album in the U.S.
An unshakable #1 hit.
Right. So when I look at that, I think all the pieces came together at the right time, at the right moment for this guy. And he had, let's give them props, man. They had a catchy song that keeps you moving, never lets you get bored. And then ultimately, I guarantee you, got you on the dance floor.
Oh yeah, this is what I like about this song. I'm sure if we were to meet someone who did not like this song, it's so infectious that it stays in their head, even though they don't like it.
Even though they don't like it. Right, because I guarantee you a bunch of people are like, I'm not a disco fan, or I'm not down with Leo Sayer's
Yeah,
voice, or
and
whatever.
I will say this to you in front of the world. That's what got me about the Beatles. First time I listened to them, I wasn't impressed. But what I realized after I listened, I was like, what? This is it? Okay. And I walk off, and those songs were in my head playing
right.
on a loop. And I was like, oh, snap. Okay. I get it now. I understand. You don't have to like it because it's going to get you. It's infectious.
That's right. And facts are facts, man. So
Yeah.
So look, if you like this song, let us know. If you don't like disco, let us know. Leave a comment. Because when I hear this song now, it's me in the car singing it, making my kids roll their eyes because they're like, why is our daddy listening to this stupid song again? Because I can't get it out of my head, because I feel like dancing like an idiot in the car, which is kind of dangerous. Probably shouldn't do that while you're driving. But that's what this song does to me now.
Oh, yeah.
When the first 40 plus years of my life, I was okay never hearing this song, man.
And I love the fact that this song makes me as happy today as a grown man as it did when I was a wee little baby Ken listening to the song. It's just happy.
Man, this is crazy. I don't remember hearing this song as a kid. Like, I'm not saying that it wasn't playing. I just don't remember it. So let us know. Let us know when you first heard this song, how this song makes you feel. Just give us some of that feedback. If you enjoyed today's show, hit the like button. If you want to hear more shows from us, please hit subscribe, and hopefully we'll have some new shows out soon.
Oh, yeah.
Until then, bye-bye.
Peace.